Hey, what's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a Tampa, Florida rapper by the name of T9ine, right? It's looking like he ran into some trouble with the law. And T9ine, I guess he got arrested down there in Florida, and it's not looking good, man. It's looking pretty bad because he's got several cases stacked on several other cases, and they all carry some lengthy sentences if he's ever found guilty. Now, after that, we're going to be talking about this Young Thug situation. Now, Young Thug was candid in this interview that he did, or I want to say it was just like a live stream he did with a group of people who are also in the rap game. And there was a write-up from Vulture that I want to discuss this because it talks a lot about him and his health. And basically, Young Thug put it out there like he was on his last leg, man. Like he was about to be up out of here, man. He said his liver failed, his kidney failed, and it wasn't looking good. Now, before we get to all the specifics, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and man, let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about T9ine just a little bit. Now, T9ine is a rapper from Tampa, Florida, and he's got several interviews out there. I watched his DJ Small Eyes interview. I was impressed, man. He had an interesting story, man. And he seems like an individual. Now, he seems like he with the business and all that, but he definitely was on the right track for a long time before dropping out of school early and running into some issues as far as the streets are concerned, right? Now, building up your rap persona is one thing, but, balancing that street life and making sure you stay out of trouble is another. Now, we're talking about T9ine today because it looks like he couldn't avoid the latter because dude is locked up. And he's locked up in Hillsborough County, Florida. Now, Hillsborough County, Florida is Tampa. So in the Tampa area is where he's locked up. And the charges they got listed for him are crazy. So I'm going to be referencing a story from the source.com. And basically they talk about the charges and what T9ine is looking at as far as time. Now, the headline says this. It says Florida rapper T9ine arrested on attempted murder and robbery charges. Now, T9ine being arrested for attempted murder and robbery charges could spell the end to his rap career is what I'm thinking, man, because, those are some heavy charges. Attempted murder carries a lengthy sentence, and so do robbery charges. Now, once we get to that, I'm going to talk about what they actually have listed, in the court reports or whatever as his actual charges, and it's several. But the story continues by saying this. It says, according to a confirmed report from Vlad TV, Tampa rapper T9ine has been arrested on attempted murder and armed robbery. Arrest records show that T9ine, whose real name is Anthony Nelson, was charged with second-degree attempted murder and robbery with a firearm or deadly weapon while wearing a mask. Now, stop right there. What's odd about this is they even have that listed in the police report and listed under his charges, that while wearing a mask. So I don't know. I guess wearing a mask while committing a robbery carries some extra type of sentence, or else they wouldn't mention it. But I'll continue. It says there's no bond for robbery charge. However, his bond was set at $15,000 for the attempted murder. As of today, T9ine is still in custody for charges. T9ine, who is one of Tampa's most popular up-and-coming artists, has collaborated with the likes of Lil Durk, Polo G, and Hotboii. Now, it ends right there, and it says that they'll basically be paying attention for updates, but man, I want to talk about something else. Now, as I was perusing through T9ine's catalog and looking at all his affiliations in the rap game, I was impressed. And even during his interview with DJ Smalls, he touched on the fact that he has a pretty good fan base, man. DJ Smalls brought that up to him, was like, it was impressive the fact that he had like 300,000 to 400,000, monthly listeners on Spotify. And he really wasn't a household name yet. He really wasn't even that big. So that goes to show that people love his music and his fans are loving it. But it's looking bad, man, as far as how he's, his charges and things and how things are looking for the future. Now, let's actually talk about his charges because they're interesting to say the least. So if we pull up his information and we actually look at the charges that are listed, the first charge says robbery with a firearm or deadly weapon while wearing a mask. $300 or more, but less than $200,000 or less than $20,000. And then it has a mask code. That's the point I brought up earlier. I guess when you throw in a mask when you rob somebody, it incurs like additional charges or something like that, and it's a worse charge. Now, his second charge, attempted murder in the second degree, firearm, great bodily harm. So I'm assuming by listening to that that somebody might have got hit, or you know what I'm saying, that, like great bodily harm. Like there's no other way to say that without somebody got hit. So obviously there was a shooting situation in this. Then the third and final charge, it says dealing in stolen property. So obviously there was some type of shooting. Somebody did something and took some property for somebody, and now he's being charged with all three of these things. Now we don't know if this was based on his homeboys or something like that, or who else got arrested with him. But definitely there's going to be more news coming about this story, at least as far as the Tampa news and those hip hop circles are concerned. Okay, now let's get to the big story, man. Let's talk about this Young Thug situation. Now, Young Thug sat down with Rolling Stone, man, and he's going to be on the cover this month. I don't know if they release a cover of Rolling Stone each month or they do it quarterly or whatever. You know, the magazine game is interesting these days. But Rolling Stone still has a lot of power as far as hip hop or music is concerned, and who's on the cover matters a whole bunch. Now, Young Thug is going to be blessing the cover, and he opened up about this situation that happened to him, and I think it was like a year ago, because if you look back, there was an article that vulture.com did talking about the same thing. And basically, it's about Young Thug almost losing his life. Now, I know that sounds crazy to anybody because, you know, we're so used to seeing these cats as artists and, you know, they seem bigger than life. And even though a lot of artists go through their trials and tribulations, they still take on this persona that makes them seem like they're greater and above things that normal people go through, right? So Young Thug took this as an opportunity to be candid about the situation that he went through. And it looks like it was a medical condition or a medical situation. And I'm going to be referencing a report, or a story, I should say, from MTO News. And basically, they're trying to paraphrase what he talked about in the Rolling Stone article. Now, it opens off by saying this, man. The headline says, Young Thug talks liver and kidney failure. I kind of died. Now, that says a lot, man, because, you know, the implications are that his liver and his kidneys failed and that he was on his deathbed. You know what I mean? And hopefully that wasn't the ordeal, but man, it seems like Young Thug is pulled through. Now, the story continues by saying Young Thug opened up about a time he was rushed to the hospital during lockdown after facing liver and kidney failure. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you know, I'm going to stop right there for a second. As far as I've always known, liver or kidney failure, either one of those is horrific. You know what I'm saying? Is a serious situation. But for both of those things to happen at the same time, is pretty wild, man. Pretty wild. Now, the story continues by saying this in quotes. I kind of just stayed in bed and I was like, yo, call the ambulance. I can't move my body. Then later when the ambulance came, I couldn't get out of bed, he said. In quotes. They had me get out of the bed. Basically, I felt like my whole body was numb and I couldn't move. I went to the hospital and I found out that I had liver and kidney failure. And I kind of sort of passed away. I kind of died, he told Rolling Stone. So basically, Young Thug told Rolling Stone that he was in a state where he had temporary paralysis. He couldn't even move out of the bed or anything like that. All he could do was tell his acquaintances that, yo, man, get the ambulance or whatnot. Now, a lot of people are going to make a lot of speculation about what contributed to this happening. We don't know Young Thug's health history. We don't know anything about him personally. So I'll refrain from making any type of assumptions. But people see that cup in your hand and they automatically, attribute it to that. I'll say that. And when I say the cup, I'm talking about that styrofoam cup, and everybody in hip hop knows what that means, right? Now, Young Thug in this story, it ends kind of on a lighter note, man. He doesn't talk about the medical treatment that he received or how he's doing now physically, but he kind of just talks about his experience being quarantined with the rest of us, man. And it's funny to hear that he was going through the same things that everybody else was. He said he was bored at home. He'd log into video games like Call of Duty and stuff and log on and just check for people who were there to check on his homeboys. But regardless, it was interesting to hear Young Thug share this experience with everybody, man, because not everybody opens up that much about their own personal experiences. All we can assume is that he's doing better now. I don't know his exact health or whatever, but he's definitely locked in on the rap game and trying to deliver new music as soon as possible because he's got a project coming up in a little bit, man. A few weeks, if not a week or so, and we'll be looking at another Young Thug project. And the last project did well, so it's looking like he's doing this thing in this rap game. Because for a second there, he was at some kind of weird stalemate, you know what I mean? But he's found his groove again, and he's on top. And I like to call Young Thug and the people of his ilk kind of the leaders of the new school. He's not super new to the rap game, but he's still, in that level where he's a relatively new face and he's kind of making a new definition of what rap is doing right now. And that's not me jocking Young Thug or whatever, and I'm not a super duper Young Thug fan, even though I am a Young Thug fan and I like his music. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving credit where credit is due, giving the cat his flowers. Now, with that, what do you guys think about these situations? What do you think about T9 getting locked up in Tampa? Is that the end of his rap career? I mean, he's relatively young. He's only 19 years old, but those are some crazy charges, and I don't know if he was able to be in the rap game long enough to build up a fan base that's going to be there when he gets out, or depending on how the trial goes, because just because he's accused doesn't mean that he's guilty. Now, what about this Young Thug situation? Do you think rappers should be more transparent on situations like this? Like, tell us all this stuff, like, the good and the bad, even when they're in a situation where it's like a medical emergency? Or is that something that just kind of they should keep to themselves? Now, with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace.